Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
If you're a fan of comic books and comic book conventions, Daytona Beach Comic Con needs to be on your list of must-attend events. It's a show that actually focuses on comic books. Imagine that! This year's event is happening on Saturday, September the 6th, and Sunday, September the 7th. Silverline creators will be there, so we'll see you at the show. If you find yourself in the Orlando area, and let's be honest, doesn't everyone come to Orlando for the House of Mouse? Head over to Coliseum of Comics to get your comic book fix. Be sure to check out their location on East Colonial Drive, where they carry a wide selection of independent comics, including Silverline books. Stop by and don't forget to tell them Silverline sent you. Hey, if you're an independent comic creator looking to get your comic printed, look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our comics and do a fantastic job. They can even print special edition covers. When you reach out to them, be sure to tell them Silverline sent you. Looking for a bold way to boost your business? Advertise with Silverline Comics, reaching readers across the U.S. and around the world. Affordable rates, passionate fans, and national and international exposure, all packed inside thrilling, action-packed comics. All ads must be PG-13, perfect for reaching all ages. Spots are limited. Grab your ad space today and become part of the adventure. Silverline Comics, where adventure lives and your brand thrives. Email us at silverlinepublishingllc@gmail.com for more information. And make mine Silverline.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. This Sunday, August the 17th, 2025. I am excited to be here tonight. I am Roland. I am your host for tonight, and I am joined, as always, by Miss Roberta Conroy. Say hi, Roberta.
Hi. Hello.
Roberta's excited tonight. We're also joined, as usual, Zoop to Nuts, Mr. Tom Mason.
Hey, everybody.
We are joined also by that man in the mask guy, Mr. Mike W. Belcher. Say hi, Mike.
Howdy, 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 everybody.
And we are joined by Jimmy Who? I know that guy, Mr. Thomas Flormonti Jr.
Howdy do, everybody.
And I am so stoked. Guys, I got to tell you a story about this guy.
Oh, no.
So the first...
I'm not ready.
You probably already know it, Tommy. So the very first time I
I've already told you. Oh, no. Yes, not.
Was, and Jimmy probably doesn't. This is the kind of guy Jimmy is. He probably doesn't even remember this. This is.
Senile. You try to say that he's old is what it sounds like.
No, just
nice build-up, Roland. Good job.
Yeah.
It's either 90 or 91. I can't remember. I'd have to try to look it up. It's San Diego Comic-Con. I met Jimmy through a mutual friend of ours, inker Ken Branch. Ken introduced me to Jimmy, and it was how conventions are. This was early '90s convention. Jimmy and I, hit it all. We talked, blah 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 blah, and we're just standing there. And Jimmy says, "Hey, let's go to a Marvel party. Come on, let me take you to Jimmy." He just met me, right? And he grabs me by the arm and he takes me to a Marvel party and begins to introduce me to people.
That sounds like my Jimmy.
I will never ever forget that. Jimmy, if I didn't say thank you back then, I should have. Thank you for doing that.
I don't know if I was invited to that party, but it sure sounds like something I would do.
It absolutely was. So I'm stoked to introduce our guest for tonight, Mr. Jimmy Palmiotti, Paper Films Studio. Jimmy has had a long and illustrious career in comics. Jimmy has been an inker. He's been a penciler, and he is a writer. He's probably done other things that I'm not aware of as well. But Jimmy, thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here and see three faces that I haven't seen in a while, which is great. You, Roland, Tom, and Thomas. I feel like it feels like a minute, and then it feels like many years. You know, at the same time. You know, because again, that memory of mine is probably going out the window.
Yeah.
I do remember the Marvel party in '91 because I knew people, but I literally just started up, you know, at Marvel.
Yeah.
I just started. I was doing backgrounds for Mark Texera.
Right.
I was inking backgrounds for Mark and sometimes drawing them, and but the rule I had if I was doing them is we had to do them up in the Marvel offices. So every night after Marvel would shut down, like 5 or 6 o'clock, we would go up there. Mark and I would go up there and work in the bullpen because I wanted to get to know all the editors. I figured if I was up there, I can slowly go into each room and, you know, meet them, introduce myself, and pick up work. And that worked out pretty well. Over time, you know.
That's a great networking trick.
Oh,
yes, it was. Well, I don't know if it was a trick, but my job before comics was advertising. So, you know, I was taught to go and meet everybody and, you know, introduce yourself. And then I kept giving them samples till eventually, if you're up there and you're able to get things done, eventually a book is late. And that's what happened. I kept getting all these editors pulling me into their office going, hey, listen, I have this, you know, 60-page thing I need in like a week. Can you do it? And I'm like, of course I can. And then I go home and cry, eat, you know, drink Mountain Dew and eat Chinese food for 4 days without sleeping and get the book done. And then I had Thomas helping me, of course, back then. Thomas was helping me do my backgrounds. I think at one point I was thinking, Thomas, I was thinking like 3 books a month, I think it was.
I felt like I was helping you do like 15 books a month is what it felt like.
I tell you, you know, my secret motivation was I had a mom who was needed a lot of money and help for health stuff. And my dad passed away years before. So I was taking care of her and the bills were insane for my mom.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I constantly hustled work to just make it so her life was very comfortable. You know, she had a lot of health issues.
I think I remember us talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So you know, I only really would have loved to just do 1 or 2 books a month, but I had to hustle to. I think she had like $3,000 worth of medical bills a month that I was paying.
Wow.
And that was on top of
and this would have been in the 80s, right?
Yeah, late 80s,
Holy
early 90s.
mackerel.
And then I was on top of my bills. You know, I had my apartment and all that stuff.
Well, I'm going to tell you, thanks for taking those extra work because you passed it on to me to do, and I was more than happy to do it. And thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas came through for me. I can't tell you how many times. You know, like I can't even tell you how many times. And this is when we had the FedEx stuff, you know, back and forth, right? Remember, I would send it. You know, So I knew I had only like a certain amount of days, and I told Thomas, I'm like, listen, you know, we have to get this. You have to bounce this back to me in 2 days. Otherwise, I can't use you on this because I'm you know, I must.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah, man, he came through every time. Thomas, I owe you, buddy. I owe you.
Yeah, it's a mutual thanks, I guess. I mean, there was a bunch of times where you had the pencilers send stuff straight to me.
Yes.
With the editor's blessings too. You know, that was what was all of a sudden you go, blah blah blah. Said you can send them to you, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, well, you know, what you learn over time in comics is the editors, all they care about is getting the thing done, right? And and the flip side of that was all I cared about was making the artist really happy with the work I was doing. So I had these 2 things in my head at all times, but I was completely upfront with the editors. I would say, hey, listen, you know, I have a buddy of mine that's helped me with background. This will get your book in quicker. We will hit that deadline, and we never miss the deadline. And you know, they understood the process of what we're doing. I mean, obviously in Japan, they do that all the time. But in the U.S., that was like a thing that was, I will say, I think I was the first, when I started doing backgrounds for text, and then I started picking up my own work, At one point, I walked into Bobby Chase's office. She was the editor on Ghost Rider at the time at Marvel Comics, and I asked her if I can get a background inker credit. and she looked at me like I was insane.
You got me a couple of times. I was so happy.
I did get it once or twice. 90% of the editors said no.
Nah.
They would outright tell me no.
You remember I used to sneak my name into the backgrounds of stuff?
There's a lot of Floramonte pickle company in the background or something like that.
A lot of it, yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
But I think it's that guerrilla warfare kind of. It was a fun time because it was so exciting just to be able to touch these real comic pages, as I called it back then, right? Like this, and again, I was doing, what you guys were doing beforehand. It was working with Eternity, and Tom. I remember. God, I remember Dinosaurs for Hire. I know that's like a callback, man. That's a real. I know it's a hardcore callback, but I was making a book called Ninja, and then X Mutants and New Mutants. Yeah, there were just mutants everywhere. It was like,
Because I think my memory of it is that you had been doing backgrounds, but you wanted to get work done that you could get credit for on your own as an inker that you could show off.
Yes,
and so we were trying to get you. It didn't always work that way, but we were trying to get you some of our better pencilers.
Yeah.
It's like, here, Jimmy will do more work for us if we give him more work he wants to do.
Yeah.
And work, I think you know this, inking goes faster if the penciler is good.
Yeah. If the pencil's good and the inker's happy, that works out. I remember, it's funny because when I was doing those books, I was working with Brian Marshall and
Tony Ing.
Yeah, Evan Dorkin was there, right? It was Evan, and then Tony, and it was in a small little house in Brooklyn, in Bensonhurst, and it was in the middle of a neighborhood. I don't even remember how I got the call to go there and pick up work, but I do remember in this quaint little Italian neighborhood there was this house that had like severed heads in the window. They had all these rubber masks that was stuffed with paper, and it had like 8 rubber masks in the window, like severed heads. And I walked in, and Brian Marshall was doing what he was doing, and Evan Dorkin was doing Pirate Corps, I think, at the time. And there was so many artists in this place, and they're like, "Hey, you want to ink some stuff?" I'm like, "Sure." They're like, "Okay, here." And I think, and every time I went in, there was a steady diet of pizza and 64-ounce Cokes. There were like a ton of them in there. But it was also an exciting time because like people like Joe Rubenstein would stop by, and all these different people would come by this place. And it was just it was a great time because I had a full-time job at the time, so it wasn't about the money for me. It was about just being able to work. And I actually, you guys may not remember this. I actually drew a book that was going to get printed called The Night Visitors, and then it got and it was solicited, and then all the art completely got lost. Like the whole book disappeared off the face of the earth. I'd never seen the artwork again.
Oh, wow! So someone's got it somewhere.
I finished the book and I gave it to the guys, and the guys said they shipped it or whatever they did. And it got lost, and the book never came out. But I drew a whole book.
Wow!
I don't know. It must be in like some serial killer's basement. He's probably looking at it like.
Yeah, you don't want to track it down too much.
Yeah.
No. Look, it's okay wherever it is. It's fine. I have a series of things that FedEx lost over the years. That I've never seen any of it ever appear again.
Yeah.
And with artwork, usually if it pops up, somebody's selling it, it usually pops up.
Yeah.
Right.
None of it's ever. I did a Magneto painting for a Marvel card set, and actually Brian Marshall's wife went to pick it up at Marvel for me, and she left it in the cab. So I figured there's some cabbie in Queens with that painting on his wall.
He doesn't even know what it is. Oh man,
he doesn't know what it is. This just looks cool. Hey, this guy left painting here. This guy left painting. I put it on the wall.
He's waiting for the
guy with a red helmet
movie to come out.
Yeah. Like I said, but anyway, great times. And if I didn't say it enough, Thomas, thank you, buddy.
I appreciated you so much.
It seems
you helped me get to where I am now for sure. If it wasn't for Roland and Steven and Mitch, started with them, and then they turned me on to you. and then you just started using me, and then I just got faster and
Sounds
better
horrible.
and stronger. No, but that's fine. You know, I was there. I wanted it. It's like send more.
That sounds like a Big
And-
Brother house confession.
Right. We got several comments here. Devil Flyer says, "Hope you had a great birthday, Jimmy. Was it your birthday?"
It was on the 14th. It was this week. Honestly, it was. You know, Amanda's given me a. The one thing she did for me, because that morning we woke up and we had YouTube on. We watch YouTube for TV.
Oh yeah.
And I Dream of Jeannie on. So she referred to me as Master for the whole day.
Did you
Wow.
the outfit, the genie outfit?
and if that wasn't funny enough, I would call up all my friends and put them on speakerphone to listen, and then I'd ask her a question where she would ask. So
Yes, ma'am.
as my friend Frank Thierry said, if I asked my wife to do that, she would divorce me like that minute. But
yeah.
Amanda and I were just giggling all day at it, you know.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Chris Denmead says, I have serious issues with crowdfunding right now. Well, Chris, we are going to get to him and find out what Jimmy thinks as well. We're going to ask him some questions, non-crowdfunding, before we get there, though. So just hang tight with us, Chris. Madness Entertainment Group says, hey, yo, what's up, Pops? Thanks for, as always. Oh, and then he says, Jimmy, you have a wrench here now. So drop links whenever you want to have something that you want to shout out. So when that crowdfunder gets done.
I appreciate that.
Matt Likes Comics says, hi, everybody. Hey, Matt. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Super Matt.
Rawl and T Drawing says, the great Jimmy. Yes. Woohoo.
They great.
And then they great. Yeah, well, I edit sometimes on the fly.
It's all good.
And then Rawl and T Drawing says, birthday wishes, Jim Sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Rawl.
Master Blaster and bring back Painkiller Jane.
She never left, so you know it's okay.
So before we are going to talk crowdfunding, Jimmy, because I know I reached out to you immediately after you posted this thing, but I have some questions. These guys know what they are. We always have to ask them.
Okay.
What's the first comic you remember that little Jimmy read?
I want to say. It was probably an Archie comic, you know, because when in Brooklyn, when you get your hair cut, when you sit there and waiting, I don't know if this is true everywhere else, but there would be a stack of comics in the barbershop when I was a kid, and I would just pick them up and read them, you know. But I had two older brothers. There were always comics around the house, but the entry comic was probably Archie because it was easier to follow.
Yeah.
And I was very young. I was probably like 4 or 5 when I was reading that. So that was my entry. When I started collecting, though, I collected Superman and Fantastic Four. And it's pretty funny that they both have a movie out in the same month.
They both came out this year, yeah.
And
have you seen them both? Okay, good, yeah.
I liked them both. I thought they were both fun. But those were the ones that I remember I completed my collection of FF1 to 125, like many years later.
Wow.
And then I sold my number 1 and I bought a used car with it when I was 16 because I had a girlfriend. And that was infinitely more important than the comic book. But since then I've gotten a beat up copy.
I was going to say, yeah. Did you replace your number 1?
I did. My number 1 I sold was probably a 9.8 if you want to talk about. I had a perfect copy because the guy I bought it from had 60 copies of it.
Oh my god.
So I went through and found the best one, and then I bought it for $60 too. It cost me $60.
Oh my gosh.
We're talking, this is what, 1971, 72.
Okay.
And I was young, and then when I was 16, I sold it and I bought a really beat up used car, but it was great. You know, it was a Gran Torino, but it's been through hell. You know, it was green.
So it's like a 4.5.
Yeah, the car was like a 3.5, 2.5. But years later, I picked up a beat up version of one again just to complete my collection.
There you
again.
go. Oh, nice.
But you know, when you there's a point where I all of a sudden girls came into my life.
Oh yeah,
it was like comic books,
right.
Now
or you didn't want them to know. you kept reading them, but you didn't want them to know.
They had no
That was
choice
what I
because
did.
I was always drawing them, and I didn't hide them. I would just say, "Hey, I read comics," but I had my. You see the mess behind me? It was my room's never changed. It's always been something like that. So I had my albums and I had my music and comics and anything like that. If they like me, great. If they didn't like me, what can you do?
Yep. So what comic was it that made you think, this is what I want to do? I want to go make comics.
That's a hard one because I was starting to fall in love with the art of the comics. So I was looking at who was drawing things.
Right.
And I remember consciously reading Conan and going, Barry Smith, wow, this is cool. And then Bernie Wrightson on Swamp Thing. And then I remember Craig Russell on Killraven. And then Paul Galassi on Master of Kung Fu and Stranko on Captain America. And I started falling in love with the artists on these things. And at the time, I never wanted to be an inker or a writer. I just wanted to draw comics, right?
Yeah.
So I was looking at these guys and trying to figure out where are they getting this from? Like, why their styles are nothing alike, yet I love looking. Stranko stuff was just design heavy. Bernie's stuff seemed like he made a deal with the devil on his work, and Mike Kaluta's Shadow had this like graceful line that just it felt like 1930, even though I wasn't there for that. These guys did something that were so completely different from each other, and I became fascinated with the art of comic books more than the stories. I have to say, I fell in love with the artists, and wherever they went, I would follow them, and that was how I bought comics from them then on in. Because even when I loved Spider-Man, if John Romita Sr. didn't draw it, I was like, oh, okay, let me, I'll skip this for a while until a guy comes back on that I like, and all of a sudden Gil Kane's there, and I'm like, I like Gil Kane,
Right.
So it never became about full series for me. I always followed the artists on the books more than anything.
Yeah. Well, what was your first work then? What was the first thing you had done?
It was Invaders 41. Okay, I was in 11th grade in high school, 11th to 12th grade in high school, and my teacher sent me to Queens to meet this guy named Chick Stone at his house.
Yeah, wow.
And I went to his house, and he gave me a page of Invaders, and he said, these are rough backgrounds. I want you to just ink these backgrounds and bring it to me tomorrow. We'll see what you can do, kid. And it was like a train yard, and I went down to Coney Island. I took the train down to Coney Island, and I drew the train yard. I went back the next day to give Chick Stone the page. He looked at it, and he said, what is this? What is this, a photo of this train yard? What is it? And I said, well, I modeled it after I went down, and he's like, yeah. He gave me $5 and fired me. So that was my first work. It was one page in Invaders 41.
Wow.
Hyper Potato, what's up, Hyper? Hyper's always, he reminds us to like and subscribe, folks, wherever you're listening to us, whether that be on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. But Hyper says, I bet Roland has that Invaders. Check the CLZ. I don't have to check it, Hyper. I know that I own that one.
Yeah, I think that was 1978 or 79.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I was in high school. I was in, that was my first job. And it was the first time I ever been fired, too. So,
and by Chick Stone, no less.
Wow, no kidding.
I knew who he was, so it was a little
$5.
intimidating, Yeah, $5.
So, all right. So from there, where did you go?
I started helping these guys. There was three guys in Manhattan up on 21st Street and 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. And their names were Dave Simons, Ken Landgraf, and Armando Gill.
Oh, yeah.
And they shared an apartment. And I was in high school. They shared an apartment, and they were all getting work from the majors, okay? They had a studio apartment. I mean, this apartment is the size of my living room that they were in. And they were drawing, and they needed help. So I did backgrounds, and then when they weren't up to it, I started inking pages. This was in 12th grade. So I was inking guys like Don Newton and some war comics. I inked some Gene Cole and Howard the Duck magazine. I did a whole bunch of stuff, and they paid me next to nothing. And one day I had an epiphany. I was with them, and I said, "So do you guys live here? Or is this your studio?" And they said, "We live here." And I realized there was no beds in the apartment. And I asked them, I said, "So where do you sleep?" And I think it was Armando or it was Dave Simons who said, "Well, you see that wall there? That's all that paper hanging up. That's the bottom of the mattresses. At night, we pull the mattresses down, and we sleep on them, and then we push them back up in the day so we could work in the studio."
Oh my!
And then I remember I went home that night and I talked to my dad, and I said, I know we don't have money, but I said, I'm doing this work for these comic guys, and it's 3 grown men living in an apartment. And my dad's like, maybe you should look into doing something else. And I said, I think so. I think maybe I should go into advertising instead because we had no money. Like my family had no money,
Right.
And then I actually found people that had less money than us, and they were comic book artists. So
and you're like, that's not really what I want to do, but kind of what I want to do.
And those guys were working. They were paid professionals. They were
paid professionals. And I wanted to go to like an art college, but I couldn't afford it. So I did these TAP and BEOG programs because I had no money, right? So we had no money in the bank. And I got all these, I got on all these college things where if my grades were good, which they were, I was able to take on these programs. One of the programs was a BOG, which would give me like money for my subway and then money for my books. Another program I got on, they would give me money for expenses in college, but I had to keep a perfect record. Like I had to be like nothing is A, it was numbers, but I think I had to almost have a perfect score. Otherwise they dropped me. So by the time I finished the 2 years of advertising, I went to New York Technicals. It was a New York Technical College in downtown Brooklyn. I took advertising, and I was on the dean's list. I was one of the top 10 students in the school, and I graduated in 2 years and got a job at an ad agency, a couple ad agencies. I bounced around until one stuck, and then later on in the late 80s, I started doing the comics on the side. I had a full-time job in advertising, though.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I figured out I could still do comics. I'm not going to make much money, but I can make myself a little happier because I wanted to do them. And then once I started getting into it with Marvel, I realized, okay, those guys didn't know what they were doing. I figured out how I could make money doing this. But it's a lot of hustle involved. And, and there was a lot of, the good news is my advertising helped because I was able to schmooze the editors. I took them out to lunch. I would see them after work. We would go hang out. They were buddies, so they all wanted to give me work. Like, I became their friends, and I'm still friends with. I just saw Terry Kavanaugh not too long ago. Yeah.
I saw him at Heroes, and he said he's actually agreed to come on our show too.
He's a wonderful guy, but he gave me my first penciling jobs doing Marvel Comics Presento. I did a ghostwriter story for them. So
nice.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the history of me. Woohoo!
When did you move from I got to live with 3 guys and a mattress on the floor? What was your first place like?
So, you'd have to talk to my girlfriends at the time. It was
you're like a bass player.
I lived with my mom and dad. I mean, my brothers all moved out, but we had a house where they had the first floor and we had a basement apartment and I had a side door. So I lived downstairs and my parents were upstairs. And they were older. My parents were older. They were when I was younger, they had me when they were older, right? So I kind of stuck around as long as I could to keep an eye on them, to be honest with you. And then I moved in with a couple of different girlfriends, like 6 months here, 4 months here, 3 months here. And I went to get an apartment in Brooklyn. Actually, I went into Manhattan and my dad talked me out of it because it was too small. And then I found a place in Brooklyn but I wasn't able to afford it. It was a co-op and it was like, it was like $50,000 to buy. Now it sounds like nothing, but it was a 2-bedroom. It was a beautiful apartment. But my mom did something funny because, she stepped up and said, well, here, I have this bank book and it had $10,000 in it.
Oh, wow.
And I said, where did this money come from? And she said, you've been giving me money since you've been working. All the money you ever gave me, I just put in an account for you. So she never spent any of it. I would give her a piece of my check since I started. And it was, back then it was like $5 and $3 and $10.
Yeah.
But she saved every penny. So when I got my place, she said, here, this is,
oh man,
I saved that for you. So it's the sweetest thing.
How much did you cry when that happened?
Oh yeah, I still think about it. It still hits me because my parents were great, my mom, when my dad died, I took care of my mom for 18 years after.
That's a long time.
And so it was she did it for each one of us. There's 4 boys.
Yeah.
Wow. So but I didn't see it coming. I was like, I want to buy this, but they want they wanted like 10 grand down on it, and a guarantee and all that stuff. Boom. And let's just put it into like modern times. It's probably, the apartment was probably like 180 grand,
right,
or 200 grand now. But it was 50 back then, which was a lot of money.
This story is hitting Jimmy. Hyper says moms are the best, and I know Hyper lost his mom recently as well.
Sorry about that, Hyper.
And Agent Cub says, I'm tearing up hearing that story.
Well, moms are the best. Dads are the best.
Yeah.
When you have a good mom, when you have a good dad.
That's right. That's right. Hyper also said, you think you're broke? I draw comics.
I'm not broke now because I learned how to save money. Right. But back then, I will say it was a lot of rolling up nickels and dimes and quarters, and mowing people's lawns and then shoveling the fronts of houses to make money. But, that's the way it was back then.
Well, Tommy and I both grew up in Mississippi, so we didn't shovel very many. I've never shoveled any of that, right?
I'm sure you shoveled other things. Though.
I was trying to say I shoveled other stuff. Oh, let's see. There's got.
I'm sure you mowed some lawns. I mean,
I mowed all kinds of lawns, man.
Yeah, there you go.
When people complain about the temperature, I tell them, you know what? When I was in 10th grade, I was mowing lawns 113 degrees outside. You talk about hot.
You might as well be on a road crew pouring tar.
Let's see here. Agent Cub said, where'd it go? Who let Jimmy on this show? We did. We invited him, Agent. Agent Cub says, we need more Ash, Jimmy.
Yeah. I just talked to Joe last week about that.
Oh, really?
Cool. Yeah. Because he's super busy. I'm super busy. Right? So we talk about it every once in a while, and then we reminisce, and then we're like, we need
move on to something else.
Yeah, we just like, we want to do it. We have some ideas. I think it's like 30-something years old now, so I'm like, I think it's time.
Oh my gosh,
I don't like to look back. Honestly, I don't like to look back with so much. But it's hard when you get older when people keep reminding you, like, hey, I had somebody say this year, Painkiller J is 30 years old, and I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta throw a party,
Yeah.
My birthdays remind me of the mortality. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, look, I can get Social Security if I want. Yay!
Yay! Yeah. Of course, the mention of War Comics excited Hyper. He is a big War Comics fan, so.
I did a book for Marvel called G.I. Zombie. It was a war comic, and I actually got the rights back to it, so that's great.
Really?
Yeah. Nice. I get, a lot of, except for 1 or 2 things, I've gotten the rights back for everything I've done for DC, like created characters. Because I make sure in the contract there's a 5-year rights reversal if they don't use it.
Right. Good for you.
And then that gets them by surprise. They're like, oh, well, we can give you money or we can put it in a book. And I'm like, no, I'll take it back. So,
Good for you.
Yeah.
I
learned that early on. That's my advertising work in there.
Yeah. Actually, Jimmy, it sounds like that ought to be a class or a panel at San Diego Comic-Con or a Heroes Con for independent creators.
Well, I will say if you work for Marvel and DC, and if you're a writer or an artist, usually they work together, and you create a new character, one that doesn't exist in that universe, you should be filling out a form every time you do it at Marvel and DC. Every single time. For every character. I don't care if it's a mayor in the book that they use 2 or 3 times. I don't care if it's anything like that. You have to fill out a form They will never tell you to fill out the form, by the way.
Right.
They
Of
will
course
never
not.
say it.
No.
But I get royalties on things like the beaver from Harley Quinn. We just got a royalty on the beaver from Harley Quinn because I put a creator-owned thing in, and the beaver was in the Birds of Prey movie, and they have to pay for that.
Okay. Wow.
So it's like every little thing we've done, I fill out those forms.
And some of that stuff, I was talking to a friend of mine who used to work for DC, and he said some of that stuff gets used a lot in the games, not just on TV and movies.
Yes.
And the checks are sometimes better from the games than they are from.
I think unless you have a form in that says your name attached to it, though, they don't send it to you.
Right. Yeah. You have to do the paperwork.
So I'm always reminding people about it, and they can't hear it enough that you got to do it. What bothers me is the editors don't look out for the artists and say, hey, or the writers and say, hey, you know what? Fill out these 6 forms since you did all these characters. They don't do it.
No, because they're corporate. What people forget is those places are corporations. They don't care. They don't care.
The number one rule. Here's the new rule for comics people. There is no loyalty in the corporations. So if you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling whatever, understand that there's no loyalty for you. They don't care.
Nope.
So
absolutely.
So it's a healthy attitude to go in and be loyal to your crew, to the people you work with, but understand that the company feels like they don't owe you anything. So don't worry about the company so much.
That's something that both Tom and I we hit that pretty hard on here.
Yeah, we do because they're not. I mean, your friends work there, but the corporation isn't your friend.
Right.
And that's because the corporation, as we've seen, the corporation will sometimes change ownership.
Yep.
And sometimes your friends will come and go, and the new people are just like, "Nah, we're not going to do that anymore."
Yeah.
Where's your
that was your old buddies. We don't like you.
Yeah.
The Marvels. When there's a movie and there's something I've been involved in something, they will fly me out. They'll give me some money to cover expenses and all that stuff. They do take, but that was a squeaky wheel thing, meaning I keep reminding them.
Right.
That, hey, you know what? In the Thunderbolts, this character and that character, and they go, right, okay, So they've gotten a lot better at it because I'm the squeaky wheel. I'm the guy who keeps reminding them all the time.
Right.
But like you said, you shouldn't have to do that.
No, I shouldn't. But the reality is you have to.
It is what it is. Yeah.
And I think
you got to look. You no matter how nice you are, and Roberta, I'm sure you are. But 25% of you has got to be a complete asshole, all right? And bother people
It hurts
once in a while.
you feel like you're doing the wrong thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. You're just looking out for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've learned how to be nice about it. Like as Amanda says, you have a wonderfully nice, charming, threatening voice.
I can believe that.
Also, the people, from my experience anyway, the people that you need to talk to about that are not necessarily the editors.
No.
Those people. It's usually the accounting people, it's the lawyer people, it's the money people who control the paychecks. Those are the people where you have to squeak the wheel.
Always make friends with the corporate guys.
Yeah.
It's
the guys who have names like, I don't know, Gary Gittleson, things like that,
Well, I learned early on that a lot of the people that work for the corporate ends, they really do love comics, but when a comic person comes to them and is friendly with them, they do go out of their way for you once in a while.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the world, though. Be nice to everybody so you don't have to worry about things so much.
Right.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready to go on. Do you guys have any questions you want to ask before we get to the crowdfunding questions?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Tom.
Which is for Jimmy. When did you decide to make a transition from the art in the comics to actually wanting to write your own stuff?
That came over a series of like 6 months. I started getting inking work with notes on every page, like posted saying, hey, can you fix this hand? Can you redraw this head? That's supposed to be a building in the background. Can you draw the building? I started getting these notes on the books, and I started getting, and Thomas will understand this, I started getting a lot of work that I had to fix because they realized I could draw it. Right. Yeah. And what happened is they don't really want to pay for that as well.
Right.
So I remember I had Joey Cavallari sent me a book. I'm not going to say the book, but he sent me a FedEx full of pages, and I opened it up. I looked at it, I put it back, zipped it up, and called FedEx to pick it up and send it back. And I told him, I said, I'm officially done inking comics. I'm done. And I said, so give this to somebody else. And if you need me for writing or whatever, I'll do that. I just knew I had to cut it dead. Like I just had to say enough of that. And I was getting little writing gigs here and there, but I figured let me focus more on the writing, less on the art end. And they're not going to take me seriously if I'm doing both at this time. So I switched over and started picking up. I think I picked up Deadpool was my first Marvel thing that I wrote for like a year. And and then after that, I just started picking up writing work again, never late, working. You know, I was able to bring artists in with me. I pitched some books and say, hey, look, you know, I remember Dan DiDio. I was like, I want to do Jonah Hex. You know, Justin and I want to write Jonah Hex. And he's like, you can't touch it because this other artist wants to do it and he has preference over you. And then the day that other artist said, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore, he called me up and said, send me a pitch for a Jonah Hex. And I said, it's already in your email. I sent it to him while we were talking on the phone because I had it waiting. You know, so it's like, so I switched gears. I was lucky enough that I had enough people I worked for that trusted me to do things. But at DC, I took on a bunch of issues of Superboy. They told me it's canceled, but if you want to write the last 5 issues, I'm like, sure. Yeah. Anything you got, I'll do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Very
do you
good.
Do you miss doing the art? Do you miss the inking?
No, I'm constantly drawing on everything in my house.
Okay.
I don't miss, you know, every once in a while I'll ink a cover for somebody. During COVID, I learned how to color, so I've been coloring books here and there and covers.
Nice.
Cool.
You know,
yeah.
No, I'm constantly drawing. It's just that I'm not drawing for somebody. You know, I'm like,
Right.
It's the opposite of my wife. Amanda draws. It's always for somebody. It's not in general. I doodle on everything in this room. I'm like a, you know, like a graffiti artist in my own house. You know, there's drawings everywhere. I love drawing, but you know, comic books don't pay very well for art.
No, they
don't. I would have like I think I'd have a brain tumor in my head if I was trying to do a monthly book. I don't think I could do it. You know, part of doing art is knowing when to let it go.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not easy. You know, when you I try to be a perfectionist with whatever work I'm working on, and art is the hardest thing to let go.
Yeah.
And then I'm the guy that wants to know where the lettering balloon's going to be, and I want to see if it works sequentially, and I want to see if the coloring is right. It's probably why I started editing other people's stuff when I did Marvel Knights. Is I check everything up to the last, right before it goes to the printer. I'm looking at everything.
Yeah.
And that's not great because you lose your mind after a while.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about crowdfunding. So Jimmy is one of the OG crowdfunders. In fact, what a lot of people, I mentioned this at the time, but what a lot of people might not realize is that when I first started doing crowdfunders, I reached out to Jimmy and I said, "Hey, Jimmy, you've run some successful campaigns. What kind of tips do you have?" And Jimmy was very generous and gracious with his time and suggestions and advice. And, you know, a lot of what we do and what we end up doing now, you know, Jimmy, I don't know if you know this, we've run more than 30 campaigns now. It's like,
yeah, no, I keep track.
Yeah, but you were incredibly generous with your time and advice and suggestions, and I appreciate that. But let me see if I can share this here. I took a screenshot. Jimmy made a post on, you may have made it other places, but I saw it on LinkedIn.
That's the only place I put it.
Okay.
Because it's more of a business thing for me.
Yes. I guess I see a lot of you can't read it. But we're just going to talk, take a little bit of this at a time here. And Jimmy says, my opinion on crowdfunding and why it is taking a hit right now. The decline of Kickstarter's effectiveness for small creators is sadly rooted in several interconnected factors. All right, so let's talk about the first one. First and foremost is the erosion of trust. All right, go, Jimmy.
Erosion of trust. People who do Kickstarters and don't deliver it on time, or they disappear, or the Kickstarter falls apart and they don't give a refund. That's that's the erosion of trust right there.
So no names here. We don't like to do that here. But yes, we talked
Jimmy's
about
like,
this.
I'll throw some names out.
No.
I know a couple.
I'd be glad to.
No names.
I still got some money out that hadn't seen books for.
Just that you guys each have names is a bad thing.
It is.
Yeah. It absolutely is.
Because,
and I like, you could have came to me. I would have printed your stuff so I can get my damn book.
I don't know how adult this talk is here, so I'm going to keep the language clean.
Yeah, we shoot for PG-13 audience.
Okay, then forget everything I was just going to say. But I will say this:
just pick different words.
You can play pool your whole life, and nobody calls you a pool shark. How do I clean up the rest of it?
I think we know where you're going.
But if you eat one banana, you're a banana eater for the rest of your life. How's that?
Yes.
Okay, so how we look at things in this world is we don't prop up the 100 books that come out and they're fantastic. We hyper focus on the one that didn't deliver.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we hyper focus on it, and then we beat it up to the point of exhaustion, right? And then it happens again. So that means everybody's doing it now because that's all they talk about. They're not talking about the people like us that deliver every single time. They're talking about the people that screw up and leave a bad reputation. And unfortunately, with Kickstarter, we have a bunch of people, some professionals, that have not delivered. And not only that, they don't even talk to the people. They just go on to the next one. And so what happens is, people like us who worry about every single customer, we want to make sure every person is taken care of. We want to make sure every promise we gave is delivered on time.
Yep.
It kills us.
Yeah.
Because we have people that go, hey, I love your books. I love what you do. But this guy screwed me on a Kickstarter. I'm never doing Kickstarter again.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's what that means.
I'm guessing you've heard that.
All the time. All the time. They say, I'd love to back you. And I tell them, I said, I've done 25 and I've never missed a deadline. And I've never had a complaint. And I talk to the guys that run Kickstarter and I'm like, can we have a rating so people can rate our Kickstarters?
Yeah.
And they won't do it. They won't do it. And I said, if I have a rating, at least I could see. If it's 99, I could find that one person that's upset and see what they need.
Right.
But they won't do it. So without that rating, we don't. It's all willy-nilly. It's all in the air. And that's why some people say they'll never do crowdfunding. And so we lose a huge percentage of people because of a few screw ups.
And the thing I think that surprises me most is, and again, no names, are the professionals. The professionals who run a campaign, and I get excited, going, "Oh my gosh, look! This person is doing this campaign. Count me in. I want the book."
Right.
And then
they're not business people. They may can do the art, but they're not business folks.
The thing about it is, 3 years later, it's like, look, that wasn't a long book.
Yeah, that money's gone. They got the money. It's gone. It's.
I don't even know. People run those names by me, and I always go, "Don't back them again."
Right?
Yeah.
Because they come right back and do another one, and I'm like, "Why would you back that?"
Yep.
Right.
And then I see their numbers go crazy, and I'm like,
No,
Yeah.
I've backed. I mean, I love crowdfunding books. I love this stuff because it's interesting to me because it's so quirky and so individual and so specific to the creator that I really want to see what they do without corporate interference or whatever. Right. And I do it without hesitation. Like, I know it could go wrong, but I'm not down on the crowdfunding as a whole. It's just the risk you take. Like, if you bought a product from Walmart and it broke, you wouldn't just not
Stop
shop at Walmart anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if in a perfect world, we'd have 10,000 Tom Masons out there backing our stuff in a perfect world. But unfortunately, people, they one thing goes wrong. Yeah, that's it.
And buying your stuff through Kickstarter or Fund My Comics or whatever is kind of odd for a lot of people that are used to going into the store to buy it because of the format. They're like, this is a crowdfunder, so I don't get that I'm paying for this, but it might come, might not come. So it's confusing to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, and I'm more understanding of the person who's brand new at it. Oh, this is my first ever campaign, right? I've never done this, and they're a little bit late, but they keep you posted. It's like, oh, you know what? I didn't know what I was doing, but here's my progress, and it's still going to happen. But I'm running late, right? Talk to me as a backer, right? If I'm backing your campaign and you haven't kept your schedule for whatever reason, doesn't matter to me, right? Talk to me, tell me,
right? Mike, how do you feel about this, Mike? Because you've been quiet.
I'm the quiet one. I absorbed everything.
He is the quiet one.
I am the quiet one. But no, I mean, that's the thing about it. It erodes the trust. It brings all the ships down. You know, that's the thing about it is, I mean, I have new, you know, that's the funny thing about it. Most of the crowdfunders I've been waiting on for 6 or 7 years are by professionals, guys who did monthly books for Marvel and DC. And that's when you scratch your head and you think about all the indie guys, all my indie friends. I've always gotten the books on time because these guys have day jobs. These guys have responsibilities just like the pros. And it like I said, it makes the rest of us look bad.
Yep.
Yeah. Radio Horror says, I got a book I'm trying to crowdfund right now. Well, once we work through this, Radio, maybe you can ask some specific questions. And he says, Thomas, your mic is louder than everyone. I'm trying to adjust it, Radio. I'm not sure how to do
Thomas likes to be heard. It's okay.
He does like to be heard, yeah. All right, so let's move on. Here it goes. Jimmy says, the influx, and there was more stuff about that, but it was basically all about trust. It says, the influx of major corporations into Kickstarter has further complicated the landscape.
Correct.
I'll stop there. All right, talk to me.
So initially it's okay when they have a big $10 million Kickstarter, $5 million, and it's a company doing it.
Right.
And our brain says, well, that means more people are going to try Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So it's going to be better for all of us.
Yes.
Okay. Except then they do things like, we're going to put it out in the stores first, though.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen. Or they double sell it. They sell it to the store. They sell it to people. They do the Kickstarter. They raise $1 million, and then they sell it to the store as well. So they're double dipping, right?
Yes.
They're double dipping the audience. And then I found that it really doesn't bring that many people to it. They back that one and then they get out. So what happens is now we have a bunch of companies that are corporations or that they're completely funded. They have a $9 million investments, whatever, trying to get into our playground to play.
Right.
Okay. And our fence has a lot of holes in it, right?
Yes, it does.
So what happens is there's money being taken away from the people that buy Kickstarters because they want to get this popular thing or whatever.
Of course they do.
So it's been my pushback has been trying to create things that are exclusive to my Kickstarter that even if I put the book out years later, like I did with Pop Kill, I put it out 3 or 4 years later. Everyone that backed my Kickstarter has stuff that's not in those reprinted books that came out from Mad Cave. And all their books are now worth more money in the collector's market. So I've been very, very vocal about corporations doing that. I don't like it. I don't like it when they get people's money twice. And honestly, I'd love to see them back out. I don't think a big publisher should be doing Kickstarters.
Yeah.
I think they should be publishing in the places they do it and understand that. And I'll have pushback. I get pushback from that all the time. People are like, well, why can't we do it? You guys are doing it. And I'm just like, it's different. It's different. It's not a creator. It's a company doing it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Because one of the things that is often kind of discussed is what exactly defines kind of like independent comics. Where would you, if you, Jimmy, where would you draw that line? Are we talking Marvel and DC excluded? Anyone else? But or are we talking Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Boom?
Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Boom. These are companies that aren't owned by creators. Right. They're owned by corporate people. They're owned by investors. They're backed by investors. IDW is investors with other people company. These are not guys like you and me owning Comic-Con. I own Paper Films. Paper Films is me and Amanda, my friend Patrick, and then sometimes Justin. Right? Everyone on that book title is everybody that works for the company. Right. I don't have millions of dollars. I literally take my money from one Kickstarter and roll it into 2 more books.
Yep.
I think it's corporate when it is not the creators creating the books. I think that defines it right away.
I think that's a good distinction.
I think so too.
Because a lot of people don't realize that IDW and Dark Horse and Boom are corporate comics, just like Marvel and DC. They're
oh my god! I mean, Dark Horse got sold to
the Empire
company or a Chinese company. I don't even know.
Yeah,
they got sold somewhere else. Mike Richardson's still there, but he pulls a check.
Right. Yeah.
Who's the creator at Dark Horse Comics? There are none. They hire out. Same thing with IDW. Same thing with a lot of companies. So
yeah.
I think when companies do it, I think it's just a double dip or it's to get more money. Yeah. And it really does hurt, I think, the creators. I used to feel differently. I used to say, everybody's going to do better because more people are backing it, but I don't see it.
Mm-mm.
Right.
I just haven't seen the results.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think there's a lot of that, the same kind of thing. And I know Tom has probably more data on this, but a lot of people think, oh, the movies are doing really well, so that means the comic books are going to do really well.
Yeah.
And
no,
that's
do that.
not true.
No.
Not always. I mean, I definitely look. I was doing Harley when Harley Birds of Prey was out and all that stuff. It.
You got a bump and then it went back to normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could also do the opposite. So when I did Jonah Hex, the movie came out and then the book got canceled right after it. Because the movie bombed. They returned all my trade books from every bookstore in the United States because the movie bombed.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
So all my trades, I had like 8 of them, were in no more bookstores because the movie bombed. They returned them all.
Oh my
bookstores
gosh.
that.
Damn.
Now the movie, I had nothing to do with the movie. My name was not on that thing, thank God. And but it was inspired by the book I was doing. They literally at Warner Brothers sat me in a room and said, "Hey, we love your series. It's gotten into the hands of these people. They're gonna do it. They're gonna use your books as reference." I'm like, "Great." I said, "But you have nothing. You and Justin have nothing to do with it, and you're not connected to it at all." And I'm like, "You sure that you want to go that way?" I'm like, "Why not? I'm a screenwriter myself. Why not hire me and Justin as advisors on it? We've been writing it for 60 issues." And they, were like, to our faces, "Nah, you guys not going to be involved at all." The only way we even
welcome to Hollywood.
And the only way we even visited the set was because one of the producers I knew from the Ash deal, and he flew us out and put us up, and we met Josh and everybody on the set.
Yeah.
But I knew when I read that screenplay, it's not good. I told them, I said, this is not going to work. And boy, oh boy, it didn't.
Yes.
And they didn't care, did they?
Well, at the time they didn't. I will say,
later,
I had one person tell me, your notes on this were dead on. And I'm like, thank you. I said, that doesn't mean anything, but it means something to me. They know better.
Yeah.
Everybody else knows better than you. And that's Hollywood.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I like kind of your definition of if it's a corporation, then they ought not be crowdfunding. Because they've got the money. They've got the wallets, right? They've got the funding.
Yeah, absolutely. They have investors. And if you have investors, that it's a different thing. I think crowdfunding should always be about the creators right in front of you, right there in the books.
Yeah. All right. So your next paragraph says economic pressures compound the issue. Rising costs across every aspect of production, printing, shipping, and even essentials like comic bags and boards strain both creators and backers alike. Disposable income is shrinking, making it harder for fans to support passion projects at the level they once did.
Yeah. So we're in without getting too political, we're in a place right now where everything has gone up insanely fast and insanely high. I mean, anybody who's been in the supermarket in the past week knows all the promises of we're going to lower prices and we're going to save you money and these tariffs are going to it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's been proven. Everything has gone up. Car repairs, everything we do in every aspect of our life has gone up. So much so, the comic companies have looked at what made independence work alternate covers, right?
Right.
And made it part of their regular thing. I mean, I looked at every Marvel and every DC comic now has 4 covers plus.
Right.
Every single one of them. What does that do for indie guys? It destroys them because people put their money into that. They have no money left.
Yeah.
So we're right now in an economy it really is taking a nosedive in a lot of different ways. People don't realize it yet because we have a thing called the midterms. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, hear me out on this one. I'm not right or left on this one. I'm right in the middle. We have a thing called the midterms. Every bad decision that's comes 6 months after the midterms.
Right.
On purpose. That was done on purpose. Okay? So after November, after the midterms, we're going to be looking at the world a little bit differently. We're seeing it on these small levels. Fast food has gone up, right? When's the last time you went to a drive-thru? I went and pick up just meat in Publix, and it doubled.
Oh, yeah.
In the last month.
Well, my wife goes to buy meat on a certain day because that's the day they sell meat cheaper.
Right. Well, there's a reason why you see a lot of Aldi commercials.
Yes.
Because it is, if you haven't been to Aldi, we're talking about like 40% less for everything you buy.
Yeah.
I just bought my milk there today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday.
Right. So we're looking at a world that the money's getting tighter.
Yeah.
The fans still love their stuff, but they're not getting paid what they used to. I mean, I go by comic book page rates. Thomas will tell you, like, they pay the same thing they were paying 20 years ago.
Which
so
is crazy.
Inflation doesn't exist in some places, and not in the workplace, in the payment place. But everything's going up around us, so there's going to be less money to spend everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it. We've seen it in the past 6 months. Really quick. I've been alive a long time. I was in the 70s when they had gas lines. I remember because they ran in front of my house, and we used to just sit there and babysit people's cars for them.
Yeah.
This is the lowest I've seen the American dollar be worth since the 70s.
Wow.
So not to get people paranoid.
Yeah.
But there is something going on that, let's just say, anybody that was able to read what was going to happen, he's delivering it. Our president is delivering it in every that thing where I forget what it was, that paper 2025 thing.
Yeah, I don't
Project 2025.
Yeah, everything in there is actually coming to life, and then we have the time after November that stuff's going to kick in. It's going to be harder for older people to get Medicare. We know this already. Social Security, all this stuff is going to be tweaked to the point, and it's not about taking it. How do I explain this? It's not about taking it away. It's about making it harder for people to get it.
Yeah. And you already mentioned you got your Social Security report, right? I got mine just a few months ago, and I looked at it. Of course, people are always asking me, Roland, when are you going to retire? Roland, when are you going to retire? And I go, well, based on this Social Security thing, I'm not retiring.
Yeah. Well, we can get back to what we were talking about, though. So money's tighter. Money's tighter, right? And
well, let me ask you a question. Without dollars, because you said it's been a decade or more since you've worked for Marvel and DC. Now, the rumor, right? The things that we always hear is that they've actually cut rates.
Yes.
So is that a true thing? Is that they've
It's
actually
truth.
cut? So okay, so you're actually making less. Again, I'm not asking the rates, but you're making less than what you made the last time you worked for them.
I'll say another big company I work for says and tells me I'm a little too expensive.
Because you want to eat.
Yeah, you want to eat.
Because I've been working there for 20-something years, right?
Yeah.
So these companies, they'll negotiate with you if they want to buy you for a gig. Yeah.
Okay.
So they say, we have this work for you. We can't afford your regular rate. Would you do it for this much?
And if you want to work, which many
if
many
you
careers want,
if you want to feed your kids, if you want to whatever, or if you want to say, well, I really like that character, I'm dying to do that. It's not great right now, but we also look at the numbers and we see that stuff is selling, so it's a very mixed bag. Remember, now you guys all know this, when there's there's no royalty unless you sell over 60,000 copies.
Right.
Okay, we all know this.
Right.
And then what happens after that 60,000, there's a chunk of profit. So let's say it's $1. For each dollar of profit that we, meaning the creators and the company, split, the creators get 5% and the company gets 95 cents out of that dollar. And we split 3 or 4 ways the 5%, the 5,
Right.
okay, per dollar. I don't know if people still realize that on some level.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
That's
think they
not,
do.
that has not changed. In let's just say we've had editor-in-chiefs and publishers that were actual artists and creators. That has not changed
No.
in 30 years.
And those amounts are so minuscule.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so small. You have to sell volumes for it to really mean anything.
Right. So when you work in comics, you're not working for royalties unless you're doing Batman or X-Men.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reality of it. Okay. That's why when you create your own stuff and put it out, that's a whole different math right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
So
That's also what makes crowdfunding super important for a lot of
Yes.
people.
yes. And again, I'm not, if anybody wants to pull quotes, I'm not picking on companies.
Right.
That's
No.
the way they do. That's the way they do
Yeah.
business. It's just, I think the healthiest thing is to understand when you go in what, it's like a nightclub. Know what's going to be in there when you get in there. Get a sense of the room, so you know how you can
drink.
get out of it if you have to.
Right. Know the exit.
I just think it's it's a part of doing business. It's why I
It is.
started doing crowdfunding. Is
So
I
what-
realized I want to do the 95% part.
Right.
Yeah.
And then give 5% to somebody. I don't know.
Based on, because I agree with all the observations of the crowdfunding community, where does it go from here to make it better? How do you solve these things?
Okay. So I have a philosophy. I don't do negative press. I don't do.
Yeah.
I don't talk bad about people or their work ever. The work they do.
I think I told you we like to stay positive on the show.
Yeah,
We love comics.
You can look at some of the things I say as negative, but it's just facts. I'm not being, it's just facts.
Right.
Okay. How we move from here is the companies like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and everything have to hold the people accountable.
Yeah.
For screwing up their campaigns and not delivering. But here's the thing. They're corporations.
Yes, they are.
Okay. So we look at somebody like, let's say, Brian Polito.
Yeah.
Who now doesn't even do them. He does them straight from his company website.
Yep.
I think that's the future. But it's tough when you're not me and you're not Brian Polito and you're not this guy. It's tough.
Yeah, it is.
So, this is a whole new job. It's not only about doing the artwork. It's about being a personality, getting out there and talking to people, letting people understand what you're doing, how much work it is. Let's be honest. Everybody here, we do things because we love what we do and we want to entertain other people. Our existence, in a way, is we're creating for others to enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The people who don't do it, we really need to let them know how much work we do and how much we put into it, how much we care about them. That's why when I go to shows, Amanda and I will spend time with people.
Yep.
I think the only thing you can do is connect better with your audience, and then from there interact with them and have relationships with them. And I don't mean take them out on dates. I'm talking about when they have an issue, you answer them. When they have a question, you're there for them. When they tell you, I'd love to get this done, you can say, all right, let me see if I can do that for you. It's so important, this connection, because it's the one thing the corporations can never do.
Right.
They will never be able to connect with the audience. They have there's no investment worth it for them to promote creators at this point. They promote characters.
Yeah.
Because you promote the creator can step away from the system and do their own thing.
Yeah.
So we have to embrace not only who we are and our interaction, we have to represent for ourselves, we have to work social media, and we have to make sure that we're doing the stuff that people want to see, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think it's like one answer for the future. I think it's just that we have to kind of, God, I feel like I'm learning all the time. I've never done anything in my life where I'm this old and I feel like I'm still learning every day. It's a great thing too, but it keeps me, for my age, I just turned 64. I feel like I'm 35, you know, and my brain is going all the time. And it's just that we're still learning. But I think what Amanda and I have learned over the years is all these conventions, we connect with people. Every time we go to a con, they're like, Jimmy, hey, Amanda. And they come over and talk and everything. And they tell me, yeah, I picked up your new book. And I realize this is my audience. Yeah. I don't need 10,000 people. I need 1,000 fantastic people.
Yeah.
I don't need 10,000 okay people. I need that 1,000 that, and I'm like that with other creators. Like there's people I will follow and do anything for. And I just think we need to fine tune our audiences more.
Well, Jimmy, I've even said, I've even told the Silverline crew, I said, you know what? I think that for us, for Silverline specifically, right? I was like, look, if we can get 200 regular backers, 200 to 250 regular backers, I think we would all be pretty happy because I run a pretty tight ship, right? And it's like, if we could get 200 to 250 backers regularly on our campaign, I think all of us would be pretty happy with the results. You know, none of us are going to go buy Lamborghinis, right, with it. But
Hot Wheels ones, baby. Hot Wheels.
Yeah. Maybe get 2 of those.
I'm sorry, I get hyper. He says, dang, but Jimmy turned me down for a date before I even asked.
Well, you know, I have a thing about eye patches on dogs. So, you know, it's interesting because, you know, you're right. I mean, we don't need these giant audiences. We just need and that comes down to customer service, I think, on our part. We keep them connected. You know, look, we're dealing with a world where, let's be honest, most social media is pretty negative. Okay. And people really, the dopamine is now comes out from negative stuff where it used to be happy stuff. I have to, every once in a while, I have to watch videos of soldiers returning home.
Oh, those are great.
They kind of turn off that.
Boo-hoo.
Right.
I like the ones where they surprise their families.
Right. Like that's the world out there. Not the crap they sell on these news stations to get you to tune in every day. Or, you know, I remember at one point last year, it was during COVID actually. I was watching a news story and then like I watched like the 5:45 they did a, you know, 216 people died in the crash on this airplane. And then when the news started, it said 264. And then they kept talking about the numbers. And I was like, yeah, okay. So that's what it's about. Like, you know, it's horrible. This is a horrible thing, but it's numbers game for them. And I realized, the news is like a numbers game. They just keep they want you to keep tuning in. So what did this guy do bad today? And we've seen it, whatever, if you're right or left, if you're whatever, we see it every day. The distractions they throw at us because they don't want us to think about other things. My thing is I try to focus on the comics and the work. Do the Man and I have a thing, or whatever work we do, today's the, you know, or got to be the best work we've ever done. And I think just the future is just connecting more. It's more connection with the audience, just more.
That's what I think too, because you're not just selling the work, you're selling yourself, and people want to meet you. If they like you, they'll try the book out. And I know a lot of creators are like, well, it shouldn't be that way. I should just be able to draw my work and put it out. And that we don't live in that world anymore.
No, we don't.
No, and I'm not single anymore. I can't date everybody. That you got to be exhausted. You got to be exhausting.
It's, you know, it's like a larger version of putting together a creative team. Like you find the writer, the penciler, the inker, the colorist, and all that. You put them together and you want to work together. Then you expand that out. And you want to build a tribe that follows you and the work.
And look, once in a while we get lucky with something, and you know, I always tell people, I'm like, you look at my career, it's like this. It's a roller coaster, man. You know, but the public sees only the hits, right? Or they revel in the misses, right? They love the misses. So it's really interesting. So I have a lot of pros that I work with that look at my Twitter feed and go, I don't know how you do it. With you interact with people, and doesn't it drive you crazy when they come at you and everything? And I'm like, no. I said, I have a couple of sayings on my wall around here. One is slow down and enjoy the moment. That's one of them. Another one is slow the F down. I have my wife makes all these signs for me. They're everywhere. They're all over. And she made one that says blessing in disguise. Meaning, so I look at stuff like this and I'm like, yeah, okay, slow it down. And then I realize like somebody's mad. And I always say, I'll have any argument with you. We can talk all you want. The minute you call me a name, you're done.
Yeah.
Right. Meaning we can talk all day long. Look, we can have different opinions about movies, but I don't want you to not see the movie if I don't like it. You have to make that opinion yourself.
You might like it. Go for it.
Right. And the internet's just training everybody to just it's either this or that and there's nothing else. And they spend a lot of time on that. You know, and it really alienates people. It really just it destroys people, I think.
Well, I think we're all kind of that generation where we could have differing opinions, and we could have the discussions, and we could even say, Jimmy, I think you're wrong on that, and you say, well, Roland, I think you're wrong. Yeah, let's go grab a bite to eat.
Or tell me how I'm wrong. So let me see it from your point of view. Right. I have people come up to me all the time. How are you still friends with this guy? Yeah. And I tell them, I've been friends with him for 30 years. I said, I don't agree with his politics, but he's a great guy. I love his wife and kids. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but he just sees the world differently than me.
People ask me how I'm friends with Tommy all the time. And I'm like,
Well, there's
I've known him for a long time.
I forget who tells this story, but I'm going to name names now because I think it's funny.
Go ahead.
Is that Len Wein and Marv Wolfman and Mike Barr used to sit around the DC offices and during the day just scream at each other about story. Batman wouldn't do this or Superman wouldn't do that. Scream at each other, and then at 5 o'clock it's to be like, okay, where are we going to eat?
Right?
And so they didn't carry that.
Because you love I love my friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is a point where if you walked in and me and Frank Thierry are talking, it sounds like we're yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a very New York thing, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're like, we're not at all. I just think that we are in a world where everybody wants us to choose sides.
They want us to be angry. Yeah.
Yeah. And I choose side. I choose the comic. I figure if I'm talking to people that like comics, then that's the side I'm on.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
that's the side we're on as well.
Because I think, and again, we can talk about how I'm the outlier, but when I see a good comic, I want to tell people.
Yes.
I don't really want to tell people about a bad comic because that doesn't help whatever I'm trying to do. But if I find a good comic, like a real gem, and I'll say, Roland, have you read this yet? You should pick this up.
Right. Right. No, I will never say anything about a comic I think is garbage.
Right.
I just won't say, because I know somebody put their work into it. It could be their first book or whatever. I'm not going to say that. You got to lift people up, right? So, there's stuff that I see that's successful that I'm like, that's complete garbage.
Yeah,
it's just complete garbage. But I'm like, I'm not going to say it.
No.
And then
you know what? I might say it to you. I might say it to you privately. We're having a private conversation, and I'll say, hey, did you see this book? Yeah, I didn't think it was very good. What did you
think?
Look,
I grew up in New York. Okay. If Trump cured cancer, I'd still have an issue with him. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I grew up where he was not a great person my whole life. But people who like him, they like him for different reasons, and that's I can't do anything about it. But let's talk about comics.
And also,
I guarantee we're gonna like a lot of the same comics.
Also, there's stuff as you learn how comics are put together.
Yeah.
The reason that a comic is bad might not be the creative team.
No.
Right.
And so it's hard.
Editorial. I have 2 Punisher books coming out. Okay. People feel one way about the Punisher, feel the other way. We put a cover by Dan Panosian. People started picking. I don't like that logo. It's not the Punisher. And they're like, is it Frank Castle or is it somebody else? And I'm like, no, it's Frank Castle. I don't even know who the other guys are. I never read those books, right?
Yeah.
But it's so funny. All these questions, like, oh, are you gonna do this? And I just tell them, I'm like, my guy is a killer, and he's mean, and he's killing bad guys, and he's not a good guy either.
Yeah.
He just
Right.
I said he's just better than those bad guys, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, but he's got some issues, okay. But it's really funny because when I was writing Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters, people would yell at me like, "Oh, I don't like your politics in the book," and I go, "Which one is it? Uncle Sam's politics, or is it is it this character?" And I said, "By the way, none of them are my politics.
Yeah.
It's the character's politics." I'm like,
That's
so
not
if you're
mine.
mad-
That belongs to the character. Yeah.
Right. So if so if you're mad at that, I'm like, but okay, you could be mad at me, but have a nice day.
Right. Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
It's about the comic books, right?
Well, I'm like, if you hate my books and you want to buy them and then yell back at me how much they sucked, thank you for buying them.
Right.
There's I get my cut of the 5%.
I appreciate that you took the time to spew your hate of my book by buying it. But you realize that it's
buy another one, give it to your friend. Be done.
Well, like, when I did Harley, when Amanda and I wrote Harley Quinn, we wrote it for 5 years. Whenever they didn't like the book, the reviews would go, "Palmiotti once again misses the mark." Right?
Oh no!
But when they liked the book, they were like, "Amanda Common knocks it out of the park this month." and I used to, and we would be hysterically laughing. We would be laughing because we knew we both wrote it at the same time. We would just laugh, and I was like, "Okay, it's just whoever It doesn't make any sense, and it's kind of funny actually."
Wait, it's actually the other thing, right? If you missed it, wouldn't they say, let me get this right, Palomino misses the mark. You made a post about your name the other day, right?
Well, I look at Tom King and I'm like, screw you, that's not your real name. I like, Tom King.
What kind of name is that?
Come on.
It's a made-up name. So
I adore that guy, by the way.
You said you got two Punisher books coming out. You want to say when they come out?
Yeah, what the first one, it's the Marvel Knights Punisher. It's 4 issues with Dampen Ocean. That comes out in October.
Cool.
And then I have a book called it's Daredevil Punisher. It's them teaming up. Just picture Heat, the movie Heat, but with those two guys in it.
Nice.
And that's coming out that starts in November, and that's 6 issues.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's one of my first books I worked on at Marvel. I was inking Punisher. So I've always liked I've understood the character, but I also understand how much of a monster he is. Yeah. And then when we did Marvel Knights, I got to work with Garth and Steve on it, and that was so much fun. I can't tell you. I even, I was editor on the book, and then I was also inking it, which made for a good time when Steve disappeared for a couple of weeks, and I had to fly to London and knock on his front door. That's another story.
and I know you don't want to mention it yet, but you do have another Kickstarter coming up.
Yeah,
I do. It's called Deep Sea, and it's just a graphic novel. It's like a 48-page graphic novel. It's a little sci-fi, a little romance. I actually had a couple of chapters published by Dark Horse Comics. It was Dark Horse Presents. And it was a 3-part story, but it's supposed to be 6 parts. And I never got to finish it. So we put it together, and you'll hear about it in a week or two. I'm putting the Kickstarter together now. It's going to be a not a big goal on it because I'm basing it on what I had to pay to finish the last chapters. So so I'm only basing it on that. I think it's like a $10,000 goal to hit, on it. But it's just something that I've wanted to finish forever, and I never got a chance to. So we got all the rights and everything back from Dark Horse, so I was able to finish the story.
And this is one of the things I love about crowdfunding is that this gives you the opportunity now to go in, and you don't have to. You're not beholden unto Dark Horse.
No.
Right? To finish it. Met Jimmy at Heroes Con. Great dude.
Thank you, Chris.
We agree, Chris. I'm going to kind of change this question up just a little bit, Jimmy. Radio Horror says, how do you get more people to come fund your Kickstarter and donate? So all these things that we just talked about, crowdfunding, you are getting ready to launch this new campaign.
Right.
What are you going to do different? How are you going to approach this new campaign to try to get people there? Are you going to change up your marketing efforts?
No. I think I've found my space of how I launch things. I'm going to go back to everyone that's backed every Kickstarter I ever done and send them an email and remind them I have a new one first off. I'm going to visually hit my social media. I only 2-3 things and hit that as hard as I can. I always ask the artists and the colorists and everybody involved to please push it. They don't always do it because
they don't.
No, they
isn't
no
that weird?
What you do.
That's just the weirdest thing, isn't it? I will tell them, hey, look, this is you. This has got you on it. Push it.
This is your money too. Why don't you push it?
Like, oh my gosh!
I don't know why. It'll never be. I love my artists, but some of them are insane, and I love that they're insane. Like that's my favorite part of them is how insane they are. I basically hit everybody up, and then I make people aware of it. I try to get press for it, but it's really hard because they don't really like to cover it. Unless there's something in the Kickstarter that says like news or something that is, right there. This one is going to be I put the goal low on it. I covered it covers my cost if I hit it. So that's all. There's no profit. It just covers everybody's pay. Yeah. And then if I get over it, then there's a little profit there. Yeah. But nothing different on this one. I will say next year I'm doing a lot of Painkiller Jane ones because it's 30th anniversary, as I keep getting reminded. So those I'll probably try to get outside my usual places to get some press. But here's the thing. I've had press in the Hollywood Reporter. I've had it in newspapers and stuff like that. It doesn't really change it that much. Yeah. If I have Bleeding Cool cover it for some reason, it bumps it a little bit because people go there and check it every day. Yeah. But Bleeding Cool has a really quick news cycle, so you have to hold on to that one spot, right? Right. So it's really been tough, and I don't know. So here's what I tell everybody: if you're on Twitter and Instagram, post every day. Yeah. Forget the fact that you feel like you're beating a dead horse. You have to get that out of your head because every day is a new person's going to see it. Okay. Yeah. So
I vary the times, right?
At various times, morning, night, whatever. Look, I posted it 3 times a day, and I've watched how it jumps, and I'm like saying, okay, so there's no rhyme or reason. People just see things when they're going to see it. So I learned you have to be that repetitious idiot for a month.
Well, and if you look at the way television advertising works, it's the same philosophy. You see the same commercial 3 times a day.
Right.
Yes, you do.
Right. I mean, we're bombarded by everything. I mean, look at the wall behind me. That's my brain. There's so much stuff going on. Look at behind Thomas. He's got all these angry people at him. It's the same thing. And poor Roberta just has the galaxy.
It just exploded.
He's just like floating out there. I do like that Mike has art on the wall. Tom has nothing. Tom is
I'm in a Waffle House.
Are you in Waffle House right now? Okay. And of course, Roland.
He's looking for his food.
But we're torn. We just have to get the people that we grabbed before, and then hope we talk about the genre of what the book is, and hope we get hook people that way. I don't know. I'm open to anybody. I thought about hiring maybe like a couple of people to go out and push it separately, but when I look at what they charge, I'm like, can't do that. Right. So I don't really know what else to do. Yeah. Except go out there and talk about it.
Now, do you build the campaign yourself? Do you, Jimmy, go in there and build all the campaign, or do you have someone else do it?
No, I do it with Patrick. I start it. Patrick goes in, and then I get John J. Hill to do some visuals for me, and John sends me the visuals, and we place them in. But Patrick and I do it. I need somebody to check what I did. I check what he does. Yeah. We've been doing that for years now. Patrick's fantastic. He knows, he understands. He's the guy that sits with me when we pack everything too. So he understands if the wording is correct, it has to be, right. You can screw up on a sentence, and all of a sudden you're gonna have to follow that through for the rest of the campaign.
Oh yeah.
So we police each other really, really, as best we can. Yeah. All right, but now that Mike's back, don't talk about it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't tell me what I missed.
Say nothing.
He moved next to me though.
You just told us the secrets to everything, Mike. You don't get nothing.
Man, that was great information, Jimmy. I'm glad we had it.
Well, nobody knew that about Mike except for me, so I figured I'd share it with you guys.
That's your opportunity.
Let's see here. Madness says this YouTube channel is 1 subscriber from 1,400. Who's next? Hey, if you're on there and you haven't subscribed, get that number up to 1,400, y'all. That's what we need.
Yeah.
That's what all of us need as creators. He says it's okay to hit the like button too.
So if Pops, if you're still there, doesn't the Madness Entertainment Group have a Monday night crowdfunding talk show or podcast? Is that still true, or am I making that up?
I don't know the answer to that. I think he's still with us, so I'm sure we'll get the answer here in just a minute.
Well, Pops, if you're listening, Jimmy would like to be on your show. So
that's it.
But only when his crowdfunder hits.
Yeah, no, I try to do as many as I can. It's just that it's tough, man. We're yelling, we're yelling fire in a building on fire, so it's kind of tough to be heard.
It's interesting because you said you're learning new things all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's always been true that comics is tough.
Yes.
Like comics is a tough business anyway.
Yes.
And every new thing that comes along also presents a setback, so that makes it seem even tougher.
When I read it, I think it was a New York Times article about Kickstarter when it was starting, and then I looked up and the site was like half worked out, and I read it and I said, there's got to be a way I could monetize this somehow.
Yeah.
With comics, right? And I said that, and it's what I do every day. I read like crazy technology. I read everything about AI, but I understand it's a tool.
It is, yeah.
And also that a lot of tools use it for different things. Right?
That's for sure.
But it's not the enemy, right? Because
it's not.
Because you can use it to shorthand some stuff, or I say communication. If you can't communicate something, you run it through and you say, what's an easier way to convey this to somebody that doesn't understand this? There's ways to use every kind of tool. I don't know how to use it for my Kickstarter. I don't want to be the guy that does AI art or video yet.
Right.
No.
I have to wait till somebody else breaks that ice, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to be that guy. But I will say I follow every kind of technology, every kind of thing. My office is in a giant comic shop. So I ask the staff there what's selling, what's popular. I shake my head at it because, like, why is that popular?
Right.
Right.
All the time. But it's a constant learning thing. I was looking at this. I got this the other day. This is the Marvel. DC does these. They call DC Compact Comics, and it's got. This is our first 8. I think
the
13 issues
size.
of Harley Plus. It's 400 and something pages.
Holy mackerel!
That's awesome.
It's $10.
Right.
Wow.
They're
$10.
great little books.
And they're great, and they're full color. And I talked to the guy, one of the guys involved in this, and I'm like, how did they get this to only cost?
Yeah,
it only
I'd
cost
like
them,
to
Right.
Let's be honest, the cost to them is like $2, maybe $1.50, $2, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get a retailer, gets it for half, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this $10 book, how do you get that many? And then I talked to somebody involved, and they said, well, because they print like 30 of them at a time. They do them, and they do a massive run, and then they release them every month or something.
Right.
There's a way of saving money. So I always look at, like, okay, how can I save money on printing?
Yeah.
How can I make something cheaper?
Good point.
But
And
they're
I
able to
also
do that.
I also understand what we do in Kickstarters is very boutique.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Well, they're able to do that too, Jimmy, because like we talked earlier, they have the financing.
yes,
They can afford to go print, 30 of those at a time. We're raising the money to print the one.
no, I know, but I look at this really because it's the same size as, let's say, let's just say Mongo, right? So
Yeah.
same size,
Uzumaki, yeah.
right? So smart.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
like-
agree.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's very
okay,
smart.
should I my next Painkiller Jane collection, should I do it this size?
Yes.
I won't be able to do that price, but should I do this size and go for it?
Yeah.
And try to see what the best price I can get on it. Now Marvel does them the same size, but they're $15, and they're not as thick, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're thinner.
Well, and I think you specifically, you're in a good position where you can try it. You know what I mean? You can.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can.
I mean,
see if you can make it happen.
I don't have kids. That's when you have kids, you have to think about everything differently, right? You can't just jump off a roof. You have to kind of think, well, if
I meant because of who you are.
Well, who I am is, I still have to have the money to do that, right?
No, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
I have to shop everywhere now.
Yeah.
And especially since, so the printing in China has become a little weird thing. Canada is not so great right now to do printing because they want to make us feel the pain that they're getting felt. And so we have to print in the States. Well, guess what? The printing in the States is limited.
Yep.
And it's expensive. And they're competitive. So the only thing I still have is, in New York, every woman's shoe store is on 8th Street. There's like 400 shoe stores in a row. And people say, that's crazy. Why aren't they spread out? And I'm like, well, because when you go on that block, you can compare prices. And that's where people go for shoes. So we can compare prices on things. But boy, oh boy, when I price things in the States, Thomas, you know this better than anybody, right?
Yeah.
Every time somebody says, well, how much can I get? Well, you have to buy 10,000 of those to get that price.
Right.
Or you have to do 50 of those. I mean, you're running into stuff, aren't you, Thomas? With paper and stuff like that?
Actually, no.
Okay.
No, it's the printer supplies, all that kind of stuff. Since most of our stuff's not coming from China, it's gone up. But it hadn't been too crazy.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
I mean, if you look at the prices, you'll see that our prices we haven't really raised our prices very much.
So, free ad for you today.
Yeah.
Everybody go to Thomas.
But I think, I love that the lesson is to sort of look at stuff and figure out how they're doing it, because that's once like you could easily make up some kind of weird internet theory about how DC is able to keep the price for a 400 book at $9.99.
Right.
But to actually dig in deep, know a guy, figure out how they do it. Oh, they print 30 different titles at the exact same time.
I mean, which makes sense, right?
Absolutely, and they can do it because of the economies of scale and because they have millions of dollars in the bank, whatever.
Right.
But it's not so much the specifics of it, but it's the out of the box thinking of how can I do this differently and still make money.
Yeah,
it's a constant thing with every campaign. What can I look? Roland said, "What are you doing differently this time?" And I'm like, I don't know yet. It's like I have to sit there and look at. I had what's great about the comic shop is there's it's like 14 young people work there. So I asked them, like, what's the appeal on this to you? A lot of times it's, we notice Kickstarter, it's like, half naked girl sells a little bit better than a nun.
Right.
Okay. Whatever. We look at things like that, or half naked guy sells better than a guy in a full suit. I don't know.
Right.
Like we look at trends too, right? I never thought Pop Kill would sell the way it did.
But it also has a great name too.
Yeah,
well, thanks. I mean that helps, but it did 55,000 copies. Number one,
man,
that's fantastic.
At like $5.95, right?
Yeah.
No one saw that coming in a million years, right? So why? Well, it had sexy girls on the cover, but it goes beyond that, right? It's the right book at the right time. For some reason, it connected. For some reason, and it just when you think you got it figured out, it flips on you.
Right.
So I will say the rest of our life will be this kind of frustrated trying to figure it out. Nobody's going to figure it out.
Right.
I've always said that Polito, part of the success of his campaigns is he has the 3 B's of comics, right? And I know Roberta doesn't want to hear this one, but he's got the 3 B's of comics: boobs, blades, and blood, right?
I mean, there's an audience. Obviously, there's an audience for that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But also,
I think I'm just going to put out a book called The 3 B's of Comics and just cut to the chase. Black covers, only black covers. You have to open it up to see what's inside.
The thing,
which B you're going to get, because it might be butts too.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing about Polito though is he is a showman for one thing.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. His booth at a convention is like a circus tent. And he looks like the kind of guy and acts like the kind of guy who would make those kinds of comics. There's a Polito comic that you expect to come from him. Like he's not going to do a certain kind of comic book because
a romance.
He's not going
to do a romance or you know what? He stuck to his thing. We're talking 30 years of pushing the same kind of content.
Right.
I am not that. I keep experimenting.
Yeah.
With genres, so
right.
I do shoot myself in the foot sometimes because I'm trying to do different things. But I also don't need to have that level of success because I don't have a crew of people working for me. And Brian has a whole.
He has a big crew now.
He does have a big crew.
Group. Yeah, sure does.
I'm not looking for that level of madness because I look. I've been offered editor-in-chief jobs at just about every company. And I turned them all down because I'm like, I don't want to babysit people, and I don't want to. I want to be responsible for my stuff and Amanda's stuff, and that's about it. You know,
you're like, I've worked with half of those people that I would want to hire, and I don't really want to do that.
Well, I mean, you know, it's sort of like every.
I don't want to babysit them, is what I mean.
Well, yeah, in the system, every job I've been offered says, you know, once you take this job, you can't create anymore. You have to work, you know. And I was like, I said, I don't know how long I'm going to live. I want to make sure I get the couple of ideas are like cars in a parking lot in your brain. You got to move some cars out of the lot to get new ones in there.
Yes, you do. I love that. Yeah. Hyper says Polito is a marketing genius. He does not get enough credit for what he's done. I agree. Kenny Todd says, Kenny Todd said covers are awesome, but there has to be something inside too.
That's absolutely correct. If I see another cover of a character just standing there going like this, I'm like, or girl, sexy. You know,
I want the story covers again.
Yeah, you know? I mean that's you know, my wife does that. My wife's a story cover person.
Yes, I love those.
She turns down jobs because they just want the characters in there. She's like, no, not doing it.
Like anybody can do that, right?
Yeah. Well, she just feels there's better people that do that better than her, so she doesn't want to do it. You know.
Yeah. Well, she's pretty awesome as well. I don't know her though, but I mean I met her, but I don't know her like I know you.
No, Amanda's cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, we've kept you on here longer than I told you we would, and I'm sorry about that.
That always happens. You know, when it's a good show, the time goes fast. When it's a horrible show, it drags on forever.
Yeah, I gotta say this has been a great conversation, Jimmy. They're great insights and great fun.
Yes.
I want to know a little bit about Roberta though, because
thank you.
I feel like she's been very quiet. Mike too. I mean, the man in the mask guy. What does that mean, Mike?
It's just the little comic I do about a guy continuing on his grandfather's legacy of just being a community hero.
I think you should send Jimmy a PDF of your first issue, Mike.
I'd love to see it.
Jimmy would devour it.
Sure. And Roberta, you do colorings for.
I do coloring for Silverline.
For Cat and Mouse and Vipers is the other book.
Yeah.
So it's 2 books a month you do, or 2 every couple of times
we
a year?
haven't been putting them out that fast, but
not monthly. Yeah,
not monthly.
But you know, we'll just have to keep an eye on.
And what do you do? Use Photoshop, or you use Procreate or Photoshop? What do you use?
I use Photoshop.
Okay.
I've been doing Photoshop since I was hired with Malibu Comics way back in the 90s.
Oh my God!
So that's where I met Roland, and
so that's the story, Jimmy. So when I first started doing them several years ago, I mean I've known Roberta for a long time, but Roberta posted on Facebook. She goes, "Oh, I miss coloring comics," and so I immediately sent her a message. So how badly do you miss coloring comics?
I had no idea he was starting a new project.
So you did work for Malibu way back when?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She used to color some of my stuff back at the Ultraverse stuff.
No, and then you stopped for a while?
Well, Marvel bought us, you know, and then dropped us.
Bought us and fired everybody.
Yeah, what a great investment. Let's buy a comic and not do anything about it. Let's, comic company.
Right.
No, but I got so much experience, and I absolutely loved the time there. So
yeah,
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
great.
Time there.
Nice to be doing it for Roland. And yeah, any project that he throws at me that he thinks I'd be suited at, I think he has a good sense of what works. So
and Roland, I know to flatter Roland a little bit. One of the sweetest guys I know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
just a good guy. Looks after his people. I know that about that. And Tom and Thomas and Mike. I don't know you, but if you're hanging out with a crowd that's great, then you're probably good.
I agree. I keep good company.
Yeah, you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Jimmy.
That means a lot.
Jimmy, we're still live, so I'm asking you this. Can I ask you to come back sometime and talk to us again?
Absolutely, man.
Cool.
We should do the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe when you get
soon.
Yeah, when you have the crowdfunder going.
We could do that. Look, all you got to do, Roland, is hit me up, and I get back to you usually within a day. So
you do, yep. And as long as you're not doing a convention somewhere.
Yeah, I did 3 in a row. It's where I might look a little tired, but I did San Diego, I did Tampa, and then I just did Terrificon last weekend. And then last night, Amanda has a art show in a museum down in St. Pete, Florida. So we did that last night. So it's just been like a month. I'm like losing my voice and all that kind of stuff. There's, in everybody's life, there's that crazy month. And then I'm hoping there's no hurricanes, because that's the one thing that.
We got one hidden this way, Jimmy.
Yeah.
What's that?
We got one, a Cat 5 hidden this way right now.
No, it's just going to do the coast thing.
Yeah, I gotta go, everyone.
All right,
so
Roberta.
nice to meet you, Jimmy. Thanks
you.
for all your insights. And
bye, Roberta.
Thank you, Roberta.
Roland.
Bye,
I'll get you that image, Roberta.
All right, great.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye.
It's a great show.
Kenny Todd, last one here. Kenny Todd says, I really, really enjoyed Pop Kills. It was a lot of fun. Your Jonah Hex run was amazing.
There you go.
Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate it, buddy. One day I'll do some more Jonah Hex, but right now I do Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger, so that's the closest I'll get to Jonah Hex. If you haven't read that book yet, I will say, Patrick that draws it, Patrick Reynolds. I just want to show a little bit of art, because this is how beautiful this stuff is.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me get another page. Not just. I call it art. It's just beautiful work. The guy's fantastic. This comes out monthly from Todd. Working for Todd. It was random, boy, but I was really happy. The covers have nothing to do with the insides, by the way.
Hey, you know what? Listen, we've talked about this is a whole nother conversation. We've talked about covers before. The cover has one job, right?
Yes, and get somebody to pick it up.
Get your money.
Pick it up. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be, right? It makes you pick it up. So
I look at the covers and I'm like, oh, I should write a story around that. And then I realize if I do that, it's dated already.
Right.
Like, then I'll just have a new cover on it that doesn't even. That was from 7 issues ago.
That's right. Yeah. Well, let's see here. Let me. I forgot to pull this up ahead of time. Jimmy, anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, just if you need to find me, I'm at paperfilms.com, which is my site, and Instagram and Twitter. It's just my name, so I'm easy to find. And that's it. I just I thank you guys for the time and let me push some of the books out there. But everybody buy all these guys' work. Make sure you buy their work and support them. I know you're here already and you support them, but when you do support them, make a lot of noise about it. Get some new people in there.
Share.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, I always tell people if you're gonna do a Kickstarter, make sure you got a lot of relatives.
That's right.
that like you.
It's like Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
All right, on Tuesday, relaunches, crossovers, and cash grabs. Oh my! Relaunches, alternative timelines, crossovers, trades, money grabs, monthly crossovers of the past versus those of today. Current writing trends of 5 to 6 issues with the intent to collect the trades. All this on more. That is that Silverline show on Tuesday. Wednesday, the Wednesday Whammers are going to be or not to be conspiracy theories round 2. Yet another round of weird conspiracy theories and why we love them. That is the Wednesday Whammers. Next Sunday, we're going to be here with guest Dan Scotty. Did I say that right?
You got it,
Mike. Dan Scotty is going to be here to talk about his Lavender Jack new trade paperback that's from Dark Horse. So he's
also the new Flash Gordon guy.
He is the new Flash Gordon guy. Yeah, but he's going to be talking about Lavender Jack. That's his thing. Next week. And I will absolutely reach out to Jimmy and get him to come back again sometime. Jimmy, hang out with us if you can for a few minutes after we're out of here. But you guys know what time it is. Until next time, remember to
make mine
Silverline. All right. Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm Dave Dorman. Make mine Silverline.